Otherwise, I'd have to bring you down to earth too. I know this verse hurts you. I tell you what, I give you advice. I'm feeling nice. Your vices could influence your writing if you weren't biting. Y'all trying to be people that.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So let's talk about Raw from July the 12th, 2021. All right, so it was taped episode of Raw. A lot of matches. A lot of matches. It was a go-home show for Money in the Bank from the Raw side. It was not a lot of build for Money in the Bank. They did a good job with the title. I can't say that. I can't say they did a good job. They did a job. They did some kind of job on building the Raw main event. So let's get started with Bobby Lashley losing in the opening match of Raw like some fucking Jay Brown to Xavier Woods. Lost via small package. And easily one of the most offensive and stupid things they have done on TV in a long time. Now, look, I get it. I know that WWE does not do traditional wrestling booking anymore. All they do is essentially bullshit storytelling, quote unquote. And it was a story that we've been telling for the last several weeks with Lashley, where Lashley is being distracted. He's getting soft. We've been calling it since before the match with Drew McIntyre at whatever pay-per-view that was. But what was it, WrestleMania? No, it wasn't WrestleMania. It was after WrestleMania. The last one had just passed. So Hell in a Cell. So we've been saying for a while now that Lashley has kind of been getting soft. So that's really what they were showing here, is that Lashley, who usually, it ain't like he just broke this guy in half in Hell in a Cell or nothing. You know? This is why when wrestling has been relegated to just generic content, then it doesn't matter. You know? I think I did that video, several weeks ago. I do so many videos, it's hard for me to keep up. But that was, how WWE follows Hollywood. That movies have just become content. And when movies become content, and it's all, the only point is, there's no genre to it. There's no life to it. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't do traditional storytelling in a traditional way when something is just content. That's when you try to invert the hero's journey. You try to subvert expectations. You try to do all of these weird things that people are trying to do with movies now, especially like superhero films or animated movies like Disney movies and stuff like that, where they're always looking to subvert things and twist things and do different things with different characters and all this kind of stuff. You do that because movies are not telling stories anymore. They're just content. And what that means is it's just something on the screen for people to look at. Therefore, it doesn't matter that he just beat Xavier Woods in a Hell in a Cell match and now we're going to do a singles match. It doesn't matter because it's just content. It's not wrestling. In wrestling, you wouldn't do something that stupid. You wouldn't have a fucking cage match and then have a regular match. And then the guy who couldn't beat the guy in a no-holds-barred cage match beats him in a regular wrestling match. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. And then that guy in that storyline, just as the storyline is presented to you, I didn't even mention the guy's the fucking champion of the world. Didn't even mention that part. That makes no sense that you would beat the champion literally 6 days before a title shot. And then, for no reason, Xavier Woods not going to get a title match. He beat the champion, and he's not going to get any reward for it. So it makes no sense one way or the other why they would do that. If you could have shown in any other way how Lashley is off his game. He could have gotten counted out. He could have gotten DQ'd. Something, anything. They had him take a pinfall loss, clean pinfall loss, by the way, in the middle of the ring to fucking Xavier Woods. Then, of course, you have the WWE champion getting made fun of by the New Day. Before that, they did a good job of Lashley being upset. He was disgusted at himself. He stormed out of the building. MVP assured everybody that everything is going to be okay. They were going to have the VIP lounge and everything is going to be good. That was the whole ordeal. But back to telling this story linearly. You had the New Day making fun of him. Like, oh yeah, Lashley lost to the video game guy. And Kofi is like, oh yeah, when I was WWE champion, I was on my best grind. You got to be on your best grind. Kofi cuts great promos. It's fantastic stuff. But you have to understand, what good does it do in this situation if you say, Kofi's a fiery babyface. He cuts great babyface promos. It's excellent stuff. Truly, really good stuff. It's like, sure, I could believe that Kofi might win. Give Kofi a shot. But what does it mean when Xavier Woods just beat him? So what does it mean? What does it mean now? Beating a champion is supposed to be a huge, momentous thing, not some flippant thing that we turn into jokes. 10 minutes later, shouldn't Xavier Woods, after beating the champion, say, I should be the number one contender now? He should have to fight both of us. It should be a triple threat match. Shouldn't Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville be saying, this should be a triple threat match now? I mean, what the fuck else did you have to do? Shoot him with a goddamn AK-47? You beat the fucking champion in the middle of the ring. It's stupid. This is just wrestling as content. None of it matters. I've seen a lot of people, and they've been pushing for this Brock Lashley thing. They would have never done this shit with Brock. They never would have done that. They would not have had Brock wrestling on Raw. For starters, Lashley already wrestles too much on Raw. Roman doesn't wrestle this much on SmackDown. They already got him wrestling too much. He's overexposed as far as in-ring work is concerned. And then when he is wrestling, he does get sort of dominant victories. I will give him that. But he actually loses more than anybody else. He just lost last week too. So he got 2 weeks in a row of him losing. So this makes no sense. This makes no sense. This does not build for your title match at all. You make your champion, who you've been saying is the almighty, you make him look like a fucking paper champion. And now he's going to stroll into Money in the Bank. Now, sure, he's reinvigorated at the end of the show. He kicks the ladies out. He gets mad at MVP, puts the blame for what's happening to him squarely on MVP. You're making me soft. The wine, the champagne, the women, enough of that. No more. Lashley cut the promo of his life at the end of this show to save it, to save the show, and to save the credibility of the character that he has spent the last several months building. Lashley has already lost more matches as the WWE champion than he did as the US champion. Absorb that. He has lost more matches as the WWE champion than he did as the US champion. That's the booking of WWE right now. You're the world champion. You lose more as the world champion than you did if you was the mid-card champion. He has already lost more matches than Sheamus. And Sheamus is the United States champion. Of course, Sheamus went on a vacation for a little while because he got his face busted. But it's absurd. The booking of Lashley has been absolutely absurd. And sure, they finished strong. That's the Lashley you want to see at the end of the show. But that's the Lashley you should have always. That's the Lashley you should have all the time. There is 100 different ways of telling this story that did not revolve around Lashley constantly losing or being on the losing end of segments and storylines and different things like that. It just makes no sense. Now, that being said, it makes Kofi and New Day look like they got one over on Lashley and MVP. But now they have awakened the beast. Lashley's back in business. No more, ladies man Lashley and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But let's see how long this lasts. But I don't see, they will not, but when you look at Lashley, man, you look at what kind of character that's supposed to be, I can guarantee you anybody in his position would not have been losing this much. Batista, no. Brock, definitely not. This is they're devaluing him probably because he's about to lose the title. So, and I don't mean he's going to lose it to Kofi. He might lose it to the guy who wins the Money in the Bank, if we're being honest. I would be definitely surprised if Lashley walks out of Money in the Bank the champion. And he's not going to lose it to Kofi. He might lose it to Big E. So he might get beat by Kofi one week, get beat by Xavier Woods the next week, and then get beat by Big E for the fucking title. Because, New Day. But I was absolutely offended by this. It's offensive. It's disgusting. And, it was hard to even pay attention to the rest of the show after this. But they did it. We got even more offensive and dumb shit next. Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal shows up with Drew McIntyre's sword. And he's hanging out with Veer and Shanky. Shanky is the giant guy, and Veer is the induced share guy. Jinder Mahal is in the ring, and he's talking about how he understands that he's gone too far. And then now he wants to shake hands and apologize to Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre should come out there and shake hands with him and be friends again and all this kind of stuff. They got the long history. Drew McIntyre pops up on the screen, rambles, and then says that the sword is a replica. The sword that Jinder Mahal had was a replica because Jinder Mahal says that he got the sword refinished, and he unveils the refinished sword and it's broken. And we're led to believe that Jinder Mahal broke his family heirloom. And then we find out, nope, it's not really broken at all. Drew McIntyre still has his real sword. So that makes Jinder look stupid. And then Jinder, of course, because Jinder rode to the arena on a motorcycle, Drew McIntyre wasn't at ringside. He decides to rip the muffler and beat the motorcycle with the muffler he ripped off of it, and completely destroyed Jinder Mahal's his motorcycle. This storyline is not going the way that it should. It's not working. This is dumb. This is dumb. They have fumbled this. Again, people have been waiting a year for this storyline. And it started out solid. It started out solid with Jinder Mahal being upset that Drew McIntyre keeps getting opportunities. And it's gone from that to petty theft, where Jinder Mahal is going to steal his sword for no reason. There's just really, how is that revenge? I'm going to take your sword. And it's like, why didn't he just break it right then and there? Why couldn't that been the thing where Jinder Mahal is in trouble and then Shanky snaps the sword to take Jinder Mahal's, give Jinder Mahal the advantage. And then Veer and Shanky and all those guys beat up Drew McIntyre and leave him with the broken sword. And then the next week, we find out that the sword wasn't the real sword, it was a replica. And, then Drew takes it personally and says, how much this means to me. You're an old friend. Just like Sheamus was an old friend. Just like everybody who was my real friend knows how important that sword was to me. And you tried to break it, but luckily I'm not stupid. I don't bring my real family heirloom to ringside. And if you were really my friend, you would have known that it was a replica, that it wasn't real, because you've seen the real sword. That would have been so much better and a lot less stupid than this. Then we get, so after Drew McIntyre destroys the motorcycle for no reason, he starts to cut a promo about the Money in the Bank later. And we get another history lesson. Back to Greek mythology. We talk about Icarus flying too close to the sun with wax wings, melting the wings and falling from the sky. History lesson with Drew McIntyre. It needs to be, there is no explanation for the stories that he's telling. They don't always make sense in the context of the story that he's telling. The promo really should have just been about, this is my last chance to become a world champion, and the Money in the Bank is my opportunity to get back on top. I kept failing, but I never give up. Got to get back on top. I got to go through 7 other men. They're going to really feel the pain of me going through them to win Money in the Bank. Instead of going off on tangents about historical figures and mythology. I don't know where that idea came from, but it's dumb. Right? It is absolutely stupid as shit. Stop doing this. and please get to the meat and potatoes of this Jinder Mahal thing. Now, clearly, what's going to happen is Jinder Mahal is going to interfere in the Money in the Bank match and cost Drew McIntyre his title shot, which would have been fine. You didn't need to do any of this stuff with the sword. You didn't need to do any of this crap. In fact, you could have just said, Jinder is trying to talk to Drew, but Drew's giving him the cold shoulder. He's focused on winning the Money in the Bank. He ain't got time to be buds. He ain't got time to be friends. And Jinder is just coming off injury, so you have this whole thing where he's trying to reconnect because he's just coming off injury. And he's like, I want to go talk to my friend. I haven't seen him since he won the title. He's a big shot now. And Drew is kind of like, you got no time, man. I'm trying to become the WWE champion. And Drew's like, and Jinder's like, you ain't got no time for me? You're old bud? And then, as he's about to win Money in the Bank, Jinder pulls his leg off the ladder or something like that, which is probably what's going to end up happening anyway. It's probably going to be Jinder and Shanky and Veer, and they're going to beat the shit out of him at Money in the Bank to cost him the match. You could have done all of that, but you could have set it up by Drew McIntyre being a really bad friend, focused on his mission of being the champion, not interested at all with being friends with Jinder. He sees that Jinder is trying to get into the Money in the Bank, but, he's not given an opportunity, and he's not going to help him either. So Jinder is like, fuck you. If I can't get in, I'm not going to let you win it either. That's what would make Jinder the heel in this situation. Now, in this storyline, we still get that Jinder is the heel, but we don't know why he decided to steal his sword, and they've already had a match. So, it's dumb. Again, it's dumb. They set up a match for no reason. They had a match for no reason because wrestling is content. It's not a story anymore. It's just content. It's just things we throw on screen, and that's it. We'll put it in its appropriate format in the video package. That's when we'll tell the story properly in video packages. It's stupid. Riddle was hanging out with Nikki. This was oddly surreal. This was surreal. Nikki is a buffoon and Riddle is a buffoon. It was like Dinner for Schmucks out here. I love that movie, by the way. But this was like Dinner for Schmucks because you got Riddle, who is an absolute idiot, and Nikki is like 3/4 idiot. So the only thing is, she's like, I'm almost a superhero. I can't fly yet. Not yet. And Riddle is talking about chili wraps or something, some stupid shit like that. And then when she says, I gotta fly, and he takes it literally, I thought she said she couldn't fly. Well, the thing about Riddle, that as stupid as his character is, he's having fun with it, and he's actually breaking, so he's smiling and stuff when he's not supposed to be smiling. And that adds an element of charm to the character where you kind of actually like him. So I didn't hate this. I didn't hate the Riddle, Nikki Cross going back and forth. Because like I said, I just look at it like Dinner for Schmucks at that point. Like, these two people are absolute idiots. But together they can bounce off each other where Nikki can be just a shade smarter than ridiculous than Riddle. And it works out. So they had this fatal 4-way match for literally no reason. Now, before the fatal 4-way, Alexa Bliss invited Doudrop, because she just likes the girl's name, to her playground, where they just said Doudrop a bunch of times. And because Doudrop was there, Eva Marie was there. And Eva Marie, was offended that Alexa Bliss did not introduce her, for starters. And then, Alexa Bliss says, oh, well, I didn't invite you anyway. You were kind of a bonus. And then, so Eva Marie was like, this place is dingy. It's dirty. And I don't want to be here anyway. So she leaves. This sets up how we get rid of Alexa Bliss in the Fatal 4-Way match, because Eva Marie and Doudrop come to ringside, and Alexa Bliss becomes distracted by them. It was at this point that Eva Marie took off her shoe and was gonna hit Alexa Bliss with her shoe because Alexa Bliss was being creepy and screaming at her and stuff. And then she orders Dewdrop to do Dewdrop business, and Dewdrop beats her up and throws her over the barricade. And then she teleports. I was like, but it was over. After she teleported, she was gone, and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So we're doing this thing with Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie. I would think that Eva Marie would cost Alexa Bliss the match at Money in the Bank, but I think it's going to be The Fiend. And there's been a reason why I think all of the important guys at WWE kept off TV because there were no crowds. You know, that's why I think a lot of people think Brock is coming back. I think Brock will probably be back for SummerSlam. But I think The Fiend is probably going to be one of the bigger returns for Money in the Bank. And I think him getting his revenge on Alexa Bliss will probably happen at Money in the Bank. I think he's going to cost Alexa Bliss the match at Money in the Bank, not Dewdrop and Eva Marie. I think Dewdrop and Eva Marie are basically just going to be a holdover, you know, as they prepare for The Fiend and Alexa Bliss to do whatever it is they're going to do. But the Fatal 4-Way match, once Alexa Bliss was taken out of it, well, when she was in it, she got to do a little bit with Nikki Cross. And of course, they did the whole them stopping and looking at each other, and they both look ridiculous. Nikki Cross is like some deranged character from like a Fox Kids TV show. Awful, like something out of The Tick or something like that. Some, cereal box superhero. And Alexa Bliss is, of course, you know, some kind of demented Harley Quinn. And they mix it up a little bit, but, you know, not much. I think maybe Nikki Cross got her with a drop kick, but that's about it. You know, of course, it's the seeds of their, you know, their forever feud. I'm guessing they're probably going to be like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. They're going to be feuding off and on for the next several years. But they have the potential in this situation because they now have larger than life characters, and Nikki Cross is going to become a superhero. And Alexa Bliss is going to be a super villain, but she's still kind of, she's kind of babyface-ish. Like, because Eva Marie is straight up heel. And now Alexa Bliss is now beefing with Eva Marie. So it's weird. They like to have heels beefing with each other, man. You know, instead of doing something interesting with the baby faces, they just say, oh, let's have the heels feud with the heels. So it's like, it's silly. But once Alexa Bliss was taken out of the match actually got pretty good. Naomi has some pretty good stuff. Nikki has some good stuff. Asuka did too. Asuka's always good. Asuka cut a promo before the match. I didn't understand any of it, other than she's going to win the Money in the Bank, which is pretty much it. Nikki wins. She pins Asuka. Not a good time to be an Asuka fan. She's taking all the L's. I don't see why you wouldn't pin Naomi here. I guess it was just for credibility's sake, because you did have Nikki lose the previous week, which was dumb. But she countered the Asuka lock into a pretty good roll-up pin, and it was enjoyable. Like, I was legit like, okay, this is a decent to good match. That's not what you should be doing in building up for a match the magnitude of Money in the Bank, but it was good. You know, it was fine. Let's put it like that. They should be doing sit-down interviews talking about how this could change their lives and how this is can change their careers. You know, Asuka be like, I can get back on track, and Naomi's, cutting promos about how she's been sitting on the sidelines and she's been saddled with bad partners and all this kind of stuff. You know, it would have been nice, but, no, we got to have a match instead, because everybody has to fight all the time and never explain themselves and never really flesh out their characters and personalities and nothing like that. I mean, what do we think we're doing here? Telling stories? All right, so the Viking Raiders did a thing, and then they talked about AJ Styles making fun of their lifestyle, and that he's going to learn to respect Vikings. AJ Styles mockingly apologized and then called them hairy and salmonella infested, which was hilarious because I don't know when the last time I heard the term salmonella on a wrestling show. Then they did Bad Booking 101. AJ Styles, 2-time WWE champion, loses to a guy sitting on him. A guy sat on AJ Styles and pinned him. I was like, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. I knew they were going to do the silly 50-50 book, and I knew they were going to do that. So I knew that if either of the two were going to lose, it was going to be Styles. But I didn't figure it was going to be by pinfall. I thought they would do something where Amos tries to help Styles and gets disqualified or something like that, which would have made a lot more sense. But then they had Amos versus Eric, and Amos didn't have to do a lot. Basically Eric just had to work around him. But he did a good job of showing some personality and selling. He did a good job. He's better than he has any right to be. There's no reason for Amos to be as good as he is. And he's, I'm not saying he's out there outworking guys and he's not fucking Ric Flair, but he's a giant and he's better than the great Khali. He's at least coordinated. He at least knows his style. He knows how to stand there. He knows how to do more than just put his hands up and go, roar. He's not the Giant Gonzalez. That's a low bar, but he's not the Giant Gonzalez. All right, so then we got Sheamus business. You're clocking me face. Look at me face. You're giving me a hard time. Look at my United States Championship, my United States gold. And he's giving them a hard time about forcing him to defend his title. And then Sheamus, in typical Sheamus fashion, beat the hell out of Humberto Carrillo in the back. Just beat the dog shit out of him. Threw him all over the place, bounced him off the walls and shit. So this guy waited like damn near 2 months for a title shot, got jumped by Sheamus in the back, and lost the match in like 9 seconds. So as Sheamus, beats him up, makes fun of him. They did a good job here with Humberto. When Humberto was like, oh, we could postpone the match. You can get title shot next week or whatever. And Humberto was like, if I can stand, I can fight. And I was like, yes, okay. I like that. Show some fire. That's good. And then like 3 moves and Sheamus wins. And then we get Damian Priest because Sheamus is mad at Humberto for breaking his nose. Rightfully so. I like Humberto, but he broke a man's nose. He's going to kick your ass. Especially if he's Sheamus. He's going to kick your ass. So Damian Priest came out there to make the save. So we're going to get Priest and Sheamus next, which is good. Good. I feel bad for Humberto. I truly do, because he has not been given that much of an opportunity to blossom here. This was a good storyline they had going, but WWE sucks. They just suck at storytelling. I get it. I thought they were going to pull a WrestleMania 9 where Humberto gets beat up and then he's not medically cleared, and they were going to say, Sheamus is going to defend that title. Hey, Damian Priest, why don't you go out there and challenge Sheamus? And then Damian Priest was like, hey, buddy, I don't know. I don't want to take this guy's shot, man. And then Humberto was like, go, man, go. Mi amigo, go. And then Damian Priest goes and wins the title. That's what I thought they were going to do. But they did something that was a little bit different. They just had Humberto go down fighting, trying to fight. I would have preferred if they would have given him some offense and he would have gotten to, fire up and fight from underneath. But they booked a sensible finish, protected Humberto by beating him up before the match. So it didn't look too bad. It's not like he just, walked in the ring perfectly clear and then lost in like 30 seconds. He had gotten beaten up beforehand. All right. But I'm all in on Sheamus and Humberto. Sheamus and Damian Priest. But I do like Humberto. That's my dude. Why him and Angel Garza are not a tag team? That seems like natural. Why, they're building something with Ali and Mansoor. Like, you could really replenish your tag team division by putting people in it. It's just, why are we having one tag team at a time? Carrillo and Garza are literally partners. They're both 2 handsome dudes who are Mexicans. Let that be their gimmick. They're just 2 handsome guys, and they're kind of arrogant heels or cocky baby faces or whatever, and let them do what they do, and then let them feud with Ali and Mansoor. Let them do something, get some international flavor going on there. You have other guys on the roster that you don't use, and like, where the fuck is Jeff Hardy? Where is Shelton Benjamin? Where did Cedric Alexander go? I know you can't feature everybody every week, but Come on, you know, fill your tag team division up with people who you're not using as single stars. I mean, it just makes too much sense. Riddle cuts another promo talking about Randy needs to be is not a snake in his boots, but is a snake in his heart. It was weird. It was as weird as possible. On Ricochet, and he's cutting this promo to Ricochet, who literally just kind of stands there and sells what Riddle is saying. And then they get caught splash holes by John Morrison, which popped me because, I mean, calling somebody a splash hole, like, good God, man. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And John Morrison's delusional cool heel character is it works for him to have his own slang like a bully in a 90s movie, you know. So it works. They also sprayed them with dripsticks, which I was not a fan of. In any event, Ricochet and John Morrison had their Falls Count Anywhere match, and it was okay, but it was all let the flippy guys do all the flips, like let them do everything that they're gonna do. And I've seen a lot of people, they say, oh, well, letting Ricochet do Ricochet things, I mean, he might get over, it might work. It's like, yes, but eventually somebody has to cut a promo, you know? He just doesn't have that capability yet. But the guy's a phenomenal athlete. And him and Johnny Morrison had some really creative spots. And they sold things. You know, they didn't just go from spot to spot to spot to spot. They sold things. They did some striking. It was, wasn't, it wasn't heavy on weapons. It wasn't heavy on, hitting each other in the head with chairs or hitting each other with kendo sticks. It was two high flyers going out there having a very creative high flying match. So it was different in a way, but it wasn't a violent, brutal Falls Count Anywhere contest, which, I mean, that typifies what a Falls Count Anywhere match is. But this was more along the lines of what you would have seen maybe in Lucha Underground, but without the blood and the excessive camera cuts and all that and the hard editing. But I think it was a fun match, but it's not typically my thing. I got a big kick out of some of the spots. The 450 off the barricade I thought was cool. Net break off the ring apron. I thought, the double jump shooting star press, I thought it was okay. But then they finished pretty silly where you had the Miz get tipped over. So now he's like a turtle where if you put him on his back and he can't get up, Riddle is making fun of him because Riddle got sprayed earlier and he helps Ricochet win. And I'm just kind of like, okay. I'm all right with Riddle being everybody's friend and with Damian Priest being everybody's friend. Babyfaces should be on each other's side every once in a while, I'm going to take that one and run with it. So then we get Natty. So Natty has been entered in the Money in the Bank match, which is, I guess they just said, fuck it. Why wait for SmackDown? We're just going to tell everybody Natty's in the Money in the Bank now. And then we're going to beat her on the same show we announced she's in the Money in the Bank. Oh, yeah, you're in the Money in the Bank? Okay, you have to take a loss. Because everybody has to fucking lose. Nikki Cross lost last week. Naomi, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss lost this week. And Natalya lost this week. So, and then Selena Vega lost in her match. And Liv Morgan, Carmella was in the match and then she lost. And they took her out. So she gets a title shot after she loses. Everybody has to lose. Because momentum, nobody gets to have momentum. This was the thing that took the starch out of the whole Lashley situation because everybody's losing anyway. So Natalya gets blessed with a shot in the Money in the Bank and then she gets beat. Doesn't matter. They did a backstage promo with her and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke just looks like Duckman. I just have no idea what she's done to her face. And I don't know who the heels are in this situation either. Who are the heels? Is Natalya a heel? Or is Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke the heels? I know Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose were the babyfaces traditionally, but they're also being bitches. because they're laughing at Natalya as Natalya is talking about this solidifying her record and, you know, her finally being able to do the one thing she's never been able to do, and that's win the Raw Women's title. That's something she's always wanted, and she wants to be a double champion and all that kind of stuff. And they're laughing at her out of nowhere from across the room, no less. So, okay, you know, I don't know what else you do, because you've got, at least you've got multiple storylines going. I just don't like how we got there. Like, there's a long brewing thing with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke with Natalya and Tamina. But they also just had them get beat by Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox. They just got beat by them too. So we need to get a pecking order. You know, it would be nice if we could have done something like on the pre-show where it's Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke versus Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart, and the winning team gets the first shot at Natalya and Tamina or something like that. That would have been cool. But Rhea Ripley, who I'm guessing, I don't know if she's a heel or not. I don't know. Basically says that Charlotte is a drama queen. She'll give Charlotte a reason to be on crutches. She goes in there, wrestles a solid match with Natalya. There wasn't nothing wrong with it, you know, other than I don't see why everybody has to lose. And then Rhea Ripley beats Natalya clean, which she should. She's the champion. And then she gets attacked from behind by Charlotte. And Charlotte gives her a chop block, puts her in the figure four, even tied up in the ropes, and, you know, pretty good spot right there. And then Charlotte says, hey, you know, it's not about the pieces, it's about the player. And I learned from the dirtiest player. And that was it. So Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, they're teasing Charlotte winning again, which I don't think does Rhea Ripley any favors. I don't think it does Rhea Ripley any favors to lose to Charlotte. She's wrestled Charlotte like 3 or 4 times. She has not beaten her yet. Come on, man. I don't see what is the big deal? Get Charlotte the fuck out of the way. It was the same thing I was saying with Bayley. Maybe, I don't want to say that. Because, you know, if Bayley hadn't blown her ACL, she would still be in the top spot and we wouldn't be able to get her the fuck out the way. You know, so is that what it's going to have to take to get Charlotte out of the way? You know, a false pregnancy, an injury, another surgery. Why else do we have to keep going through this thing? And I get it that you have to build her up. She is the number one contender in this situation here. So I'm okay with what they did. I thought it was smart to send the champion in sort of injured into the match to give people the idea that Charlotte would win. But you haven't done a good job of making Rhea Ripley a babyface. So why are you giving her sympathy? You know, I'm guessing that Charlotte is the heel of heels. That's fine, but I would rather Rhea Ripley be a really cool, badass babyface instead of, you know, I don't know what the fuck she is. She looks like something out of a video game. She's wearing, her makeup is way too much. She looks almost completely different than she did in NXT. So I don't know. But I love Rhea Ripley. She's doing a good job. Charlotte is doing a good job. There's just, their material is not good. Their material is terrible. And that's just typical of Raw. So that's Raw going into Money in the Bank. Everybody loses. Nothing matters. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Subscribe via by hitting the subscribe button, or you can subscribe via Subscribe Star, which is $5 a month, or you want to buy me lunch, you can do so via the Cash App. Either way, thank you guys for your time, and I will talk to you guys later.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort so